We are only guaranteed one life. I don't know what happens after this one, but this one for sure is mine. And I hope that I am here to live the best life that I ever could have. I don't want to live in fear. I don't want to worry about what my mama think, what my brother think, what my neighbor think, what my friend thinks, what you guys think. I want to express myself fully, to the fullest, zero filter, true self. Able to explore, able to gamble, living on the edge. I'm down to live on the edge, and I invite you to come too, because that's where you're gonna see the view. Inland is safe. You could stay inland forever, but you might never experience what is over the edge.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. Birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh why then, oh why can't
So, here we are, with almost a quarter of the 21st century already behind us. Ask yourself, what does it feel like to be alive right now? What do you live for? What do we as a society live for? It seems to me like we might be post-everything, post-liberalism, post-civil society, post-modern, post-techno-optimism. Everything that we pay our dwindling attention to cycles in a matter of months. This is the world Oscillations was born into. Oscillations is a global network of artists, scientists, creative technologists, engineers, media professionals, and academics. We began with a question: if art is the signature of civilizations, what do we want our signature to look like? The signature of the 21st century is going to be signed by artists using the technologies of the day. What technologies are those? Well, virtual and augmented reality is already here. Brain-computer interfaces where we can control computers with our thoughts and our emotions, those are also already here. Down the horizon, we have image reconstruction technology. That's where we're able to decode your thoughts and turn them into photo and video. We've got artificial intelligence. When all of this stuff converges, we're going to be able to think new worlds into existence. That future can either be beautiful or terrifying. So maybe we should let artists steer the ship.
Today, we're having 30 of the best artists from all around the world arriving to Chicago. Oscillations is a lot about diversity. Our core team is artists, technologists, scientists. Our skill sets are very complementary. And with the artists team, everybody's at the top of their genre, coming from very, very different cultural and movement backgrounds. But in the same time, they can all blend together and create ideas that escalate really, really quickly and develop something that's never been done before. We've been waiting for this day for over a year now, and finally it's happening. We are all pumped.
We are at the Edgar Miller House, the Glasner Studio. It's a kind of a relic of the applied arts renaissance at the turn of the last century in Chicago. It's artists who believed that you should be immersed in art, you should live in art, you should be surrounded by art. And Oscillations being a virtual reality company, I can think of no better continuity to kick off this event than to introduce our performers to what it feels like to be immersed in art. I think this building inspires just by nature of what it is, and I hope that when we introduce them to the concepts for the first time, that we really capture their imagination and we get them thinking less that they're here to do a gig and more like we're here to start a movement. This building, it was part of a movement. It was built when people came together and kind of co-created a dream. They shared in a vision, and that's what we hope to inspire by bringing them here. Art is the signature of civilizations. So, what do we want our signature to look like?
Art is a technology that humans invented for efficient communication. And the history of art is just the history of humans.
I like to quote Elon Musk because most of his quotes fit under 140 character limit. And he said, the first step is to establish that something is possible. Then possibility will occur.
The kind of social media platforms that sort of birthed these new subcultures, these communities that are cropping up all over the world, that are rallying around different art forms, that meet on platforms like Instagram and Tumblr. It's still small communities that we're talking about. These people know each other. If they're not in the same place, they're exchanging, they're learning from each other, they're communicating across the world at the speed of information. You know, a lot of them already know each other, and those that don't are really excited to meet for the first time because they know of each other.
When you bring people together who speak all different languages, they will just spontaneously invent their own new common language. The same thing happens with art.
So who are these artists? It's incredible what social media platforms have enabled our civilization's most dedicated creatives to accomplish. This is the first time in history that the average person can pursue some niche passion like dance, motion graphic arts, cartooning, puppetry, whatever your thing is. And if you can make it rad enough, people all over the world can connect to what you're doing. These artists have really put in the time to become excellent, masters of their craft. They're able to pursue art and make money doing it. You may have seen them in a shoe commercial, in a music video for a world-renowned pop star, or some other pop culture spot. But what happens between the gigs and blasted out to the world via social media is some of the most impressive art I've ever seen. And these stories should be championed, because the dawn of the 21st century is absolutely the most exciting time to be an artist or a fan of art. Everything is on hyperdrive. But the question remains, what's next? Beyond social media gimmicks and branded content, corporate gigs, this energy, it's really too big, it's too powerful, it's too amazing for its current containers. That's what we're doing at Oscillations, bringing new technologies, new platforms, and new markets into service of these incredibly gifted and brilliant artists. Some of them I have been talking to regularly for over a year. Others maybe are expecting more of a gig, more coming in to do a job, and they're not really sure what this is. They know it's different, maybe they think it's a little weird or atraditional, but I think we're going to have a lot of surprises in store for them.
I'm, as a CTO of the company, explaining what we're doing on the technology front, and I'm just trying to pace myself and make sure that what I'm saying does not sound like a complete gibberish for them, and really makes sense. We're developing a project that brings together technology and neuroscience to create performance art that audience can control with their thoughts and their emotions. That's a little bit. That's right. We're making mind-controlled, immersive experiences so that audience can be gods of their dream worlds.
Rolling cameras, rolling sounds. One.
Oh, sorry guys, we still hear you. Just if we can bring it down a bit.
Hey!
There.
Thanks. It was funny because when we were all talking when we first got here, everybody was kind of asking each other like, so do you know exactly what we're doing here? And nobody really knew the answer to that, which was both relieving and just funny because, you know, we were all these really talented artists together in one space, and to not really know exactly why we're here was kind of fun.
We were aware of what was happening, but still at the same time there was so much that we weren't aware of.
I felt like I didn't know what's going on, you know, so I asked the people around, like, you know what's going on? Like, what are we going to do? And everybody was like, I have an idea, but I'm not very sure, you know? Yeah. So we went to the place yesterday and they explained to us a little bit more, and now we have a few on what's going on, but we are so mind blown, like, really? Like, is this gonna happen? Like, the ideas that they have, the things that we're gonna make, it's crazy.
Well, I was just like blown away by it. I was like, wow, this is really cool, you know? It's like, You got all these artists coming together. Cool part is that nobody like really hates each other or dislikes each other. Everybody's like pretty friendly with each other.
We came in and socially just hit it off the bat because I think as an artist you just kind of let down this guard a little bit, and I haven't felt a wall put up from anyone. I love collaborating with artists, and for me that was probably one of the most enticing things about doing this project.
Here's the scientific opportunity. We know that when we bring groups of people who speak different languages together, they'll spontaneously invent a new common language, a new common ground for meaning. So what would happen if we brought together a group of people who spoke different movement languages?
It's almost 25, 30 artists from the world, and the best in every style, so that's amazing.
You know, there's like the weirdo street crew, you know, with like E.T. and Cyber and, you know, Rubber Legs, and they're just like doing weird stuff. And then there's like hardcore contemporary ballet dancers.
We got no people from ballet, from contemporary dance, break dancers, in the house dancers, musicians.
I mix breakdance with capoeira and house dance. And I'm DJ too. I forgot to say, yes, I'm DJ too. I am the DJ of the team.
A lot of these people I've been following on Instagram, so they're like superheroes to me, and just being able to see them in real life and see how they process, I think may be the most valuable part of this project.
I've learned so much of my movement from just watching YouTube or just watching other people, watching street performers. So I'm very much so like a monkey, like monkey see, monkey do, monkey play, monkey roll, monkey climb. So now that it's actually here and happening, I was like dreaming about it days, you know, weeks before getting here. Like, oh my God, I'm gonna meet all these people, and oh, it's gonna be really cool, and like, I'm gonna be the weakest link. No, you got it. Like all these mental games that I was playing with myself, but now that I'm here, it's like, it feels like home real quick.
When Brendan started to send me the different artists that were, you know, signed to do contracts with this, and I was so excited because like some of the people here I've looked up to, like in, you know, my own career and just like what they've done. So to be able to come and collaborate with such diverse movement forms is to me the biggest thing. We all hit it off so great just socially when we got here the first day. That I was super excited to get in the studio and see everybody in their craft, and yesterday was beyond inspirational. Just getting to see everybody do what they do in forms of dance that I've never even seen, let alone heard of, and then to get to actually play with that style and incorporate my style with that style, and you know, things like martial arts and the capoeira and all these different things. It was just so cool, and to watch everyone improv down the floor and really be who they are in their craft was just mind-blowing.
Mind-blowing is the best way to describe it. I couldn't believe that I was surrounded by the people I was surrounded by, and that the things that were being presented to us are what we are here for is just unimaginable. I would never dream it up in a million years, just because I didn't even know it was possible, you know what I mean? We had started with like the most basic capoeira step, and then each individual kind of added on a little moment of something that they do. And then little by little we built this phrase, and it's almost like a sentence from all these styles of dance. It's really cool.
All humans, no matter what language we speak, share a similar embodiment. And this embodiment shapes how we think, how we attend to information, and how we process that information. We think and talk in terms of space and time. Our cognition is grounded in the physical world. This means that when people who speak different languages are brought together and they have to invent a new communication system, they don't have to reinvent the wheel. They can bootstrap structural regularities in how we all attend to and process information, simply by nature of how our minds work.
Take a very simple sentence, I guess Daniel is talking to Isabel, right? I mean, it's just a string of sounds, but at a very elementary level, at least, you're probably going to analyze that as some kind of noun, some kind of verb, some kind of noun, right? So you use some abstract categories, and this is probably part of the mental representations that we have and that allow us to speak and understand language in that case. So then, the idea is that these mental representations apply to different kinds of cognitive systems. So not just language, but I mean, of course, also vision, audition, but I guess the kids that interest us most right now. Also music and dance, right? And that's my goal, to try to understand, one of my goals, to try to understand what kind of mental representations we use when we perceive dance.
It's been a dream of mine to create something for the band Go-Go Penguin. It's a highly innovative group coming out of England that started sort of in the jazz space and has moved into more what they call acoustic electronica. And I think it is the soundtrack of the movement that Oscillations is trying to foment. With Go-Go Penguin's music, there's really something in it for all the different styles that are represented in the Oscillations project. There are so many layers and there's so much nuance in their music that it's perfect. It is a perfect vehicle for challenging artists to think of new ways to express themselves, new ways to express music. So, we're making an 8-minute music video, sort of a dance video, an art video for the band Go-Go Penguin. They started out of a scene in Europe that started maybe 10 or 15 years ago with bands like Esbjorn Svensson Trio. If you have studied jazz music, you will have heard of them because they kind of started this electronica-infused jazz trio music with kind of skittish drum beats that were pulled in from electronica, from jungle, from all kinds of inspiration beats-wise. So you get these very sweet piano melodies, almost like Radiohead-ish, kind of a little bit of impressionist piano in there. And you've got these very skittish drum beats that sort of take you for a ride and jostle you around a lot with these big upright bass solos. Those are the three basic elements. This band is looking to do something, push a little bit beyond that. With this new album, it kind of marks a departure from what they have done before. And it's starting to sound less jazz trio and more what they're calling acoustic electronica. So in the ways that a lot of you have pretty much invented a new subgenre of movement, these guys are doing that musically. And this album kind of marks that turn or departure for them. So we've been really honored to create something for them, an official virtual reality music video based on your performance. And as far as virtual reality goes, it's like for true virtual reality that goes on a high-end head-mounted display or HMD. We're like the third one ever made, so it's a little piece of history. Yeah.
The thing about VR is that it's what we all fantasized about as kids. Or at least in my world of fantasy and sci-fi, it was like virtual reality was this dream, kind of like eternal life in the fantasy world. You know, everyone's like, oh, what if I could live forever? In the same way, virtual reality was like this standard that what could happen as a result of virtual reality, what kind of addictions could be a consequence to virtual reality. So the fact that we're actually here at this crossroads right now, it feels like I leapt into the future, and I am so thrilled about that.
I know very little about virtual reality. I know you could take your phone and put it in a little headset, and I've never even really tried virtual reality, like, to be quite honest. So for me, I was just kind of like, oh, okay, that sounds cool.
It's still hard to figure out, you know, exactly the technology, you know? And I don't think only me. People in the group is like, not sure to completely get it. But little by little, you get it.
I've never seen VR, so I don't really know what it is. So it's crazy that we're actually making something that we've never seen. My brain doesn't know how this will look, you know? Right? It's so new, so I can't wait to see the end result. It's gonna be insane. Cool. Yeah.
For tell you the truth, it's a really new thing for me. So I don't know what will be the link between dance and virtuality. I will know like everybody during the week.
So, when you see the thing that we made, When you go into virtual reality and you watch the first Oscillations performance, you might wonder, why these particular forms of movement arts? Why did we bring these particular artists together for this project? Well, I think the artists that we selected and the movement art forms that they represent offer a peek into the cross-cultural collaborations that are happening right now.
My name is Chuchu. I'm from Brazil, São Paulo city. This is a big city. And I'm a capoeirista and a body movement coach for fighters and dancers. And I travel the whole world teaching capoeira, try to show a little bit of my Afro-Brazilian coach. For who doesn't know, capoeira is an Afro-Brazilian art form, which combines music, dance, and movement.
Capoeira is dear to my heart. It's something I've been doing on and off since I was a little kid. And it is a beautiful combination of dance and martial arts. It was developed as a fighting technique, although it used dance to disguise the fighting technique. The history is it was developed by Brazilian slaves who were not allowed to learn how to fight, and they disguised it as a dance and taught themselves self-defense. So it's an empowerment thing, and it lives on today as this celebrated tradition. You can find clubs all over the world. It's really a global movement art now, and the form teaches a kind of dynamicism that is very highly trained, highly developed, and allows for a kind of fluency and expression in anything else that you practice. If you've got a capoeira background, your repertoire is expanded and really made better for having a training or an exposure to capoeira.
My name is Chaz Buzan. I'm a contemporary dancer. Well, at least labeled here a contemporary dancer. But I have delved in all styles. Today was a new style, capoeira, which is really exciting. I've been drawn to capoeira so much. I've seen it a lot. And what I love most about it is how grounded the dancers always are. I feel like their full weight of their body is always just like resisting against the earth, and it's just the coolest art form.
We want to find common ground. We're looking for connecting points. So Jenga's a really good connecting point. Add some stylization, add some your own aesthetic and flair to it. We really wanted capoeira to be featured in Fire Together. It's an important part of Oscillations' hypothesis about this global movement language and the sort of cross-cultural collaborations that we want to facilitate. So we brought in Jujo. Some of our pole dancers, like Nadia, have exposure to capoeira.
I'm Nadia, and I pole dance, and I do lots of stuff like backyard dancing that can kind of resemble something along the lines of sort of break dancing, sort of capoeira.
And then there's Ticia. Ticia is also a capoeirista, beautiful capoeira, also a house dancer and a break dancer. So we have these really interesting intersection points.
So my name is Ticia, my real name is Laetitia, I'm from France, Paris, and today was like a little bit my day. I teach breakdance and I mix with floor and some hip-hop and house steps. So yes, we finished just now this little workshop, and now we try to create with the group a mix with everything we learned today and everything about everybody.
We also paired Jujo with Joris to see what would happen when you take this dynamic circus form and match the dynamicism with capoeira, and we really lucked out.
Ouais, ouais. Bien sûr, je suis intéressé par rencontrer les capoeiristes, parce que moi j'aime bien la capoeira, et c'est un style qui me rapproche un peu plus de ce que je fais, donc j'ai envie d'apprendre de lui.
I didn't even know what was going to happen when we put Jujo and Joris together, but when it did, it was obvious to everyone. Everybody in the room, watching them play for the first time, had a big grin on their face. The circus arts make a big appearance in this piece. That's the world that I come from. I spent about 5 or 6 years training to become a circus artist and a competitive aerialist. Joris and Elena were kind of a circus experiment, maybe a circus first.
My name is Elena Brocade. I'm from Los Angeles originally, but I began my circus career 15 years ago here in Chicago.
My name is Joris. I live in Belgium, but I'm from to France. Voilà, it's like this. I live in Brussels. I do circus, art, dance.
The Spanish web is basically a rope that hangs from the ceiling. It's got a loop at the top, and you wrap yourself up, you tumble down. But what's really interesting about it is that you have another person at the bottom called the setter, and they're holding onto the rope and they're spinning it. It creates this beautiful effect for the aerialist. Now, Elena and I wanted to know what it would be like if the setter wasn't just this element that you're supposed to forget. What if the setter was also dancing? What if they were doing this kind of floor work and acrobatics that's more common to Joris's routines? And what if we mixed even a little bit of capoeira in there, contemporary dance? And that's where the circus piece evolved. And we nailed it. Joris and Elena were absolutely incredible in terms of how quickly they put it together, how quickly they took this concept, ran with it, perfected it.
J'étais un petit peu frustré parce que je devais garder cette rotation, je devais garder à la faire tourner tout le temps. En même temps, on m'avait demandé qu'il fallait que je bouge, donc je savais pas trop comment garder cette rotation et bouger en même temps. À chaque fois que j'essayais de bouger, ça cassait le truc, ça marchait pas. Donc finalement, on a réussi un peu à limiter et à trouver les mouvements qui vont dans cette rotation. Donc il faut aussi que je tourne dans le même sens qu'elle en changeant les mains, etc. etc. C'est qu'une histoire de feeling en fait, il faut juste sentir, il faut toujours que je sois connecté avec elle. Et là maintenant on est connecté et ça marche.
The 3 or 4 days going before it, then I was like really like contemplating, like, am I being crazy? Have I like said I could create this thing that really isn't possible? And then I'd have to remind myself, no, you understand how this works, you know how your body works, it'll work. And then I would again backtrack and be like, oh, maybe it's not gonna work. But it does. Yeah. What it was is that I didn't have somebody to do it, and Brendan basically facilitated. He went back and forth with me over the idea and has been so supportive about it, and then has facilitated this opportunity to work with people who are capable of like just doing it and trying new things, and that's pretty awesome.
It started to look like at first maybe this wasn't going to work out, but after about a week they really got into a rhythm and they hammered it out in a couple of days, and the results are astonishing. When I was a circus artist, it wasn't long before I found my way into pole dancing. Who would have thought that pole dancing would become this kind of converging spot for circus artists and contemporary dancers and martial artists, break dancers even. Over the course of maybe a decade, all these new movement art forms kind of started showing up in pole dancing. There aren't that many movement forms that are so inviting. I think what was interesting about pole dance culture is that it comes from marginalized communities. And so you go to a pole dance studio as a martial artist, as a circus artist, as a dancer, nobody's gonna turn you away. They're gonna say, oh, you do capoeira, you do wushu, cool, let's see what you can do in a pole. You're a circus artist, great, I bet you're strong, I bet you're flexible, show us what you can do, let's play. So pole dancing, which used to be this highly stigmatized thing, is now being considered for an Olympic sport, and it's showcasing some of the most interesting fusion movement art forms in the world right now. Pole dancing is one of the most amazing things to happen to movement arts that I've seen in my lifetime. I had this hypothesis that contemporary dance and pole dance would have a really interesting conversation. I've seen some pole dancers out there who are experimenting with contemporary, and it is gorgeous. It's some of the coolest stuff on pole. And so we really identified people who were working in this low-lying form of pole, capoeira, breakdancing, and most notably, and interesting to me, contemporary dance. So we brought together some of the best contemporary dancers in the industry right now, and some of the low form of pole, and I'm trying to build a lexicon of techniques and ideas that I nicknamed Contempole. Our Contempole crew was really an interesting cross-section of the different kinds of pole dancers who are bringing something new to the apparatus. So Dima from Russia is a contemporary dancer and also a really great ballroom and Argentine tango dancer. He brings really interesting leg work and wraps and spins to the pole, as well as this kind of beautiful contemporary posture. We have two gymnasts, Sam and Heidi. We have Tara from Canada, what people call a polarina. She's ballet on the pole. It's beautiful. Ken Kao, it comes from parkour. Nadia is capoeira break pole fusion. And all of these artists have been getting together for years. They all go to the same kind of international pole competitions, and they do these workshops together, especially the South Korean pole workshops that they get together and host every year. They do like a week or two of classes and intensives, and then jams at night. And this is where this unique form is evolving. And I really wanted to take that and harness it and shine it through a prism and really concentrate that energy and introduce our contemporary dancers like Chaz and Teddy and see what emerged. And to be honest, we really only broached what I think is possible in that conversation, what could come out of more interaction in that space.
So my name is Heidi Coker, and I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, and I am a pole artist.
Samantha Starr, pole athlete, and handstander. I'm Nadia Sharif. I'm from Los Angeles. I have a movement background in pole dancing, street dancing. I like to play with all kinds of roles, and I like to be in the park and do lots of stuff. And we're here at Oscillations, killing it, doing epic shit, creating things that have never been done, putting together movement artists from all kinds of disciplines, and about to slay some next level project.
Another nice intersection point that our pole dancers offer to the Oscillations project is handstands. Most pole dancers have some kind of hand balancing practice or are comfortable upside down. So about half of our pole dancers in Fire Together are fluent in handstands. Heidi and Sam come from circus and gymnastics. Nadia has the capoeira and break kind of handstand, like a really funky repertoire. And we brought together some of the best hand balancers from circus, from abstract breaking, that's Lamont, cyber yoga, people with very, very disciplined hand balancing routines to interact with our pole dancers. There's a whole segment of the final piece that is dedicated to exalting and celebrating the practice of handstands. Why? Handstands are the global currency of the movement arts. Capoeira has really funky handstands that are meant to be moved in and out of and changed direction on a fly. Breakdancers have famous freezes, big flashy movements where you just stop your spinning or you're rotating or you're dancing and you freeze in a really flashy position. So breakdancing has some really cool hand balancing. Circus has a very, very regimented and strict, beautiful form of hand balancing. It's like the ballet of handstands because those guys go up on, 19 chairs, get up on one arm and stay there for about 5 minutes. So they have this really disciplined practice that all the other movement art forms kind of blush at. We brought them all in and we put them all in this circle, and that circle is all around you. So you can see handstands in every direction. And each handstand is slightly different stylistically, but the choreography is meant to be shared among all the different styles. And they also kind of move clockwise around you. So when you're in the immersive environment, one of them appears in front of you, and then you kind of shift focus and they start appearing all around you. And that in that way, we're celebrating styles, we're immersing you in handstands way up close because it's a really impressive technique. And we're inviting you to kind of move, because some people aren't really used to being in a 360 environment, being in a virtual environment. So we want to encourage you to kind of look around, turn around, what's behind you. That's the point of the handstand piece.
My name is Vince Horiuchi. My dancer name is Vinsanity. I grew up in Sacramento, California. I've been dancing since I was about 13 years old. Now I'm 30 years old, and pretty much I got into dancing from just being able to move free. I used to do martial arts, and when I got older and I discovered breaking, it just kind of drew me into the artistic part, the artistic freedom.
We brought in Vince as our break dancer, and Ticia's also has experience in break, and Nadia has experience as break dancer. But Vince is our educator. He teaches breakdancing in LA for a living, and he has one of the biggest breakdance tutorial channels on YouTube. And we wanted breakdancing to have a big role in this exchange that's going on at Oscillations, because break has an obvious connection to the floor work that's common to pole, that's common to contemporary dance, that's common to capoeira. As a matter of fact, oftentimes capoeirista are breakdance trained. Jujo has experience in breakdancing. He collaborates with breakdancers all the time. Ticia is a competitive breakdancer. So capoeira and breakdancing has been fusing for years. Less so though with contemporary dance and with circus arts, and we want more of that exploration. I think breakdancing can teach new ideas about connection to the floor, to other art forms, and I think these other art forms can add stylizations to breakdancing that you don't often see. There's a community of breakdancers in LA and in other parts of the world. I'm most closely associated with the community in LA. Sometimes they refer to themselves as abstract break. Whatever you call it, abstract break is as beautiful as ballet, contemporary. It is this aesthetic evolution of breakdancing. It involves what Lamont is doing with cyber yoga, this hand balancing, circus yoga, breakdancing fusion that he's got going on. It involves bone breakers like E.T. Matthew is just a gorgeous abstract breakdancer and bone breaker. That's where you have enough flexibility in your arms and your legs to do these kind of contortions that create a whole nother aesthetic dimension and texture to whatever dance you're performing. There's a lot of different people coming into abstract break. It's rooted in breakdancing, it's rooted in hip hop, but it's really becoming its own thing. They're meshing and sharing and jamming with circus artists, with contemporary dancers. And the thing about LA is that it's a great place for that to happen, because that's where a lot of the commercial work is. That's where a lot of the movies that need dancers, where music videos that need dancers, where commercials that, you know, for airlines or sneakers, where everybody breaks out into dance, that's where all that work is. That's where if you're a dancer, you go to get hired or to get an agent and things like that. So you've got these breakdancers, and they're in the same city, and they're going to the same dance workshops and jamming with each other and learning and sharing, and what has evolved is starting to be called abstract break.
My name is Lamont Good. I'm from West Hollywood, California, and what I do is called cyber yoga. Cyber yoga is a new age practice that I've created over 20 years of conditioning and training in different disciplines. Cyber is actually an acronym. It's Calisthenics, Yoga, Breaking, Evolution, Revolution. And I feel like we're like spiritual machines, so I feel like I'm the embodiment of that. And that's what I teach.
If you don't know who Phil Jabib is and you're interested in dance, you need to stop what you're doing right now, go to YouTube and watch his choreography.
My name is Philip Shabib. I'm originally from Houston, Texas. Half Lebanese, half Croatian, living in Los Angeles. My style has gone on a journey from street styles like popping and breaking into more contemporary styles. So I think I prefer calling myself more of a movement designer, just moving bodies and shapes through space. So when I was first confronted with this project, I was extremely excited because I've always had a a soft spot for psychology and neuroscience, and I always found it fascinating how art and psychology can actually play an interesting role in each other's lives. And a lot of my work has actually been based on manipulating the audience's eye and emotions into feeling and thinking certain things, and how the craft can help do that. So the minute I realized that all of these disciplines were going to be represented in one place, I knew that there was going to be an extraordinary outcome. And so far, since I've been here, it has been that.
Phil Chabib is one of the most respected choreographers in the industry. He's a contemporary dancer. He's trained in classical forms, but he's really gone down the road of partnering and doing this kind of abstract break and tutting. Phil is really playing with some really interesting tools. His palette for choreography is highly stylized, highly unique. It's his beautiful brain baby, and we were very lucky to have him. So Phil had other conflicts and couldn't make it until about a week into rehearsals. We weren't exactly sure where he was going to fit in, and the pieces had already started taking shape. So he flew in from China in the middle of his other commitment, and he immediately built us a piece of choreography that we started to call the machine. He took our popping dancers, Marie and Boogie, and our abstract breakers who were familiar with tutting and geometric dancing, which is, you might have seen it, it's where you make these kind of geometric shapes and you kind of dance them, and oftentimes with a partner, and you make these beautiful kind of moving triangles. You might even call it kaleidoscopic dancing. It's really gorgeous stuff. He brought all these artists together. He built a machine that's basically a piece of moving geometry. And there's, in the finale, you will see this machine opposite the aerial arts. So you could be focused on the big finale on the poles, or you can look behind you and you can see this beautiful kaleidoscopic dance with our abstract breakers and contemporary dancers.
So what do you think about that we need to open and close the whole piece?
I thought that was heavy, and there's a pretty big job there, you know. It's like you're the open and the end, and then it's like a filler in the middle. So
yeah.
It's like, it's pretty cool. But I guess I'm doing a planche to handstand, so
It'll
really
all be
slow.
good,
Yeah, it'll all be good. I can totally do that
Yeah.
easy. So I know the beginning would be set.
Yeah, it's a bit of a pressure also because it's the first thing that they're gonna see, so it should be good, you know?
It should be good. Yeah.
Normally, it's like we train on bars, and in this part, we need to do something with our own body. So it's all good, but we need to think about, so what can we do, what look cool, and together, you know, because we want to do something together. So, but that's the thing, we have time for that
Yeah,
here.
we have time for that. Yeah.
There's another unlikely hero of the Fire Together story, and that's what's sometimes called calisthenics, which is usually thought of as a form of exercise. It's sometimes called street workout. It's sometimes called convict conditioning or the bars community. It evolved out of those parks that you see sometimes that have like monkey bars and workout equipment for adults. You had all kinds of folks, sometimes just trying to get fit. Sometimes they come from other movement art form communities like circus, but they meet in these parks, these outdoor parks all over the world, and they trade techniques, gymnastics, weight training, all this stuff goes into it. And you get these really, really frighteningly strong people who can do these techniques that require absurd amounts of strength. What's really interesting to me about that strength, though, is when you have it, and then you start to explore other forms of movement, you have a repertoire that most forms of the movement arts don't have access to, because you have taken the time to build a level of strength that allows for these positions and postures and partnering techniques that most people don't have access to. That's really interesting to me. So I really want calisthenics and street workout to be a big part of the Oscillations conversation. And I think that as we move forward, fusing new movement styles and movement languages, that this strength element has a lot to add aesthetically. We brought in Caesar and Mel, our calisthenics street workout superstars, to bookend Fire Together. to literally support it, and also to kind of showcase how strength adds to the aesthetic dimension, because I think this maybe is largely overlooked and poorly understood. It's often not even thought of as a movement art at all, as much as sort of a competitive strength sport, more like weightlifting, or maybe an extreme sport like skateboarding. But it is absolutely a movement art. It is absolutely a dance, and we really wanted to show that.
Hi, I'm Kylie Shea, and I am a classical ballet dancer. I'm an LA native, and I am here at Oscillations doing classical, but also bringing my contemporary background as well.
Well, hello, y'all. My name is Matthew Gibbs. My dance name is E.T., and I was born in Hawaii, but I moved all over the U.S. So if I were to say I'm from somewhere, I'd probably say I'm from Atlanta, because I spent a lot of time there. But now I live in LA. Dancing as my career. My style is inspired by a lot of different elements, like popping, contemporary, contortion, arm contortion, some flexing, tutting, a lot of different things. So other things like maybe plant life, life in general, creation, animals. I appreciate the way they move, and I appreciate the diversity and all the different species and stuff. So I watch a lot of Planet Earth and Blue Planet, documentaries and all that.
One of the most exciting things that happened during the Fire Together production was Kylie, our ballerina, and Matthew, our bone breaker, got into the studio together, put on some music, and started improvising. You can go see the video on the Oscillations Instagram, and I think on E.T. and Kylie's Instagrams as well. It's just this astonishing improvisation, and it happened spontaneously, and it's another thing where we saw it and we said that needs to go into the final production. So it just happened by them getting together and doing their thing and putting some music on. And so there's this beautiful, I guess we could call it pas de deux, that's the ballet partnering between bone breaking and ballet. And so Kylie and Matthew do this gorgeous piece once we transition to the black box. It's a collaboration, I think, that really captures a 21st century aesthetic. Another martial art that we really wanted to be a part of Fire Together, and we want to have a big part of Oscillations as a project moving forward, is wushu. So we brought in Svetlana.
My name is Svetlana. I was born in Ukraine, but I've spent most of my conscious life in China, so I consider myself Chinese. Many people would say about what I do, they would call it martial arts, but I consider myself an artist of martial movement. I'm looking to convey an emotion through the movement of martial arts.
Svetlana has a very contemporary dance-like approach to her wushu practice. She's very highly trained in martial arts, but sees it as a repertoire of movement language that can be incorporated with other movement styles and movement forms. And so she's exploring wushu, which is not really common to the wushu community. One kind of bonus of getting everyone together that we didn't foresee was wushu and ballet. So Kylie and Svetlana were out in the courtyard behind the mansion one day, just doing their training independently, and then I think they started to imitate each other. So they were sitting on opposite sides of the courtyard and imitating each other's styles, imitating each other's movements. And I just loved to see this kind of, it was almost like a jazz call and response thing happening spontaneously in the middle of an afternoon when everybody was tired, sleeping, training on their own. And I said that has to be in the final piece. So during the big finale, if you're paying attention, you can see Kylie and Svetlana on either side of you performing the same choreography but with their own stylization on it. And it was really important to have that in there, but it's something that happened spontaneously, and that's what Oscillations lives for, that kind of spontaneous dialogue across people from completely different movement art forms, from completely different parts of the world, just spontaneously communicating with each other and developing something new.
Hey, my name is Alex Wong. I'm from New York City, but I also spend a lot of time in LA. My home style of dance would be ballet and contemporary, but I also work in a ton of other styles.
Another thing that was really important for me and inspired by something that our ballet dancer, Alex Wong, had already done when he was on So You Think You Can Dance, is breakdancing and ballet put together. So I'd seen Alex do a routine where he danced classical ballet and then kind of shifted into breakdancing. And since we had Vince and we had Alex, I wanted to put them together and see if they could do a sort of mirror dance. This is also based off of that scene that every dancer knows and probably loves, where Baryshnikov and Gregory Hines, so one of the world's best male ballet dancers and one of the world's greatest tap dancers, jazz dancers in the 80s, were in a movie together. And there's this scene where they're kind of showing off for each other and squaring off, and then they start to improvise a dance together. And it's the same choreography that they're both doing side by side, but one of them is very poised and ballet and technically precise. It was cut with a laser. And then Gregory Hines is doing the same dance, the same choreography, but very loose and low and jazz and relaxed. And it's beautiful to watch these two things side by side with the same choreography. And so I challenged Alex and Vince to do the same thing, to come up with some phrases and a conversation between ballet and breakdancing that was stylized in their unique ways. And they ran with it, and they produced a beautiful piece that occurs in the theater early in the Fire Together production. The final element that was important to bring in and see what we could do with was social dancing. So Danielle and I both have a background in social dancing, blues, swing, tango, ballroom. And being exposed to social dancing, I'm really aware that there's this repertoire of movement and communication that happens between two people who are partner dancing that other movement art forms are naive to. Other movement art forms don't have access to this expansive language of how to send signals by putting a hand on somebody's shoulder, putting a hand on somebody's neck, touching your foreheads together. Social dancing has a highly refined and enormous lexicon of techniques and signals and ways of communicating between two people that can be used in partner dancing. And I think that if all these other art forms were informed with these tools that social has developed over decades, that improvisations would take on a whole new life. It's a way of advancing partnering and improvisation in partnering that I think is really missing in the movement arts world right now. So we brought in Brian and his partner Campbell to oversee the stylization and communication that social can bring to a global movement culture exchange. We wanted him to kind of look at everything that was going on and see where that partnering expertise and that communication and that signaling that social is so good at could come in handy. And what we decided was actually to expand that contribution into a segment that appears in Fire Together early in the piece. So there's this scene where we have a wide cross-section of artists all in a line. And we asked them to take an idea and send it down the line and then send it back. And we wanted this to also metaphorically represent in oscillation. So it's actually a visual metaphor for the name of the company. So Lucky oversaw the choreography here, and if you're watching Fire Together, you're going to see this part. So look for when you see a line of dancers and you see a movement sent down the line through each dancer and then sent back. It's almost like we took a kind of an improv technique that you might do in a class and refined it into a piece of choreography that acted as a visual metaphor for an oscillation.
Why do humans make art? every group of people across every corner of the planet, from prehistoric cave people to postmodern nihilists, make art. While all animals are driven to perpetuate their species, only humans are driven to perpetuate the contents of their minds. They're obsessed with linking their minds together. As a cognitive scientist, I like to think of human history as the story of us innovating technologies to satisfy our communicative drive. The most ancient of these technologies are language and art. They rewired our brains and restructured our consciousness. And I would love to know how you define art. It's a very personal thing.
I mean, from what we see today, I think it's like a piece of mind of someone's in time.
I think art's like a struggle. Like it represents struggle, like something like that you have to express yourself from some type of struggle.
It's very difficult to find like a concrete word like what is art in general, but it's a feeling.
I think the journey of artists is just to try to express themselves for the entirety of their lives, because the world is just not what they feel, what they see inside.
Trying to sort of reconcile that struggle, like Vince was saying.
I wonder why an art gallery would be maybe sometimes touching people more than dance.
I think it's just a medium of paintings is very
permanent.
Yeah, permanent, and it's because it's travels through the ages. There are people who know how to talk about the same painting for 100, 200 years. People don't typically speak about a particular expression of performing arts or dance for this long just because it gets forgotten. And I think this is a very important thing for me to fix as part of this project. Make sure that we can put performing arts and dance in a gallery so that it will be, preserved for ages and ages, and people can learn from it, iterate on it, and innovate even further.
There are a few things that survive, like music. If you talk about music, there's some people that they're still alive more than ever, and back then they didn't have like all those possibilities we have today time. So now if we are not able to make our movements, our ideas, our thoughts, our inspiration become infinite, then it's something to do with us, because the possibilities are all here.
What about the study of movement? I mean, one of the things that art museums facilitate is your ability to go back and to look closer and to have many eyes on the same piece of artwork at different moments in time. Once you put something into a form that people can revisit, like augmented reality, imagine walking around the corner there and you've never seen a live performance, and all of a sudden you're surrounded by all of these incredible dancers and they're fusing their styles. You can read a little blurb about it, or maybe you don't even read something, but you have that exposure, and then you can more easily remember, put it into context with styles that came before, what will come after, put it into a greater context of other visual arts, music, things like that. But having that in a tangible way makes it so much more accessible.
Yes.
One of the things that psychologists are studying right now, cognitive psychologists, are how the brain interprets different visual illusions. And we used to think that, oh, you just kind of oscillate back and forth, there's no rhyme or reason to which particular aspect jumps out of you. But we now know that we can force the brain to see one interpretation over the other. And the critical bit there is where your visual attention is. So then the question becomes, how can we direct visual attention? And that's also something that cognitive psychologists have come up with an answer for. So audio-visual synchrony is one of the most powerful ways. What they're doing in this image right here is they're making certain lines bolder than others, and that automatically directs your attention. Imagine being in VR with impossible structures like staircases that go nowhere, or just other types of visual illusions. We can, immerse somebody in that experience and then use different cues, attentional cues, to make sure that their brain is interpreting it in one way rather than another. So it would be very dreamlike, but you'd never be taken out of it because we're very intentionally directing your attention.
I'm Nico Washington. I'm a visual artist, painter, designer, and what I'm doing here is trying to make the best art possible. And I think that we're here at Oscillations, we're doing the best thing we can. We're doing an amazing project that incorporates both science and all forms of art together, and it encapsulates creativity at its finest. To any artist out there, or anybody looking to get into art, I would say the best place is to start is to believe in yourself, believe in your work, trust in your vision, and always try to be better than what you were yesterday. Also, you are what you do every day.
Given that language and thought are inextricably linked with our physical embodiment, and that they're built upon these more ancient nonverbal modes of communication, could it also be the case that there's a universal grammar of movement? A big part of Oscillations' first experiment was to explore this possibility and to see how it might relate to the creative process. So we took a big risk. We housed all of our artists together in this historic mansion in the Bronzeville neighborhood of Chicago. We predicted accurately that they would continue swapping their skills after they had rehearsed in the studios. It was truly incredible to watch them and then to talk with them about their process. They talked a lot about being vehicles for ideas. Like other artists, they don't really know where their ideas come from. Sometimes it just feels like they're downloading their ideas from some creative reservoir.
How do I do what I do? I feel like I was just downloaded information, like told what to do, what to practice on, what to train. And everything kind of just comes into place. But something is giving me information. God, creator, universe, whatever it is, it's using me as a vessel to create these images and movement that's going to evoke emotion. And those that see the technology within the movement and the poses, they'll understand what it means.
What do you think you're attempting to communicate?
A language that I can't decipher yet.
I don't need say something to improve my feelings. I just will dance. I just will move. And like all guys here, we have universal tool to speak with our body, our physical body. And I can watch this project from different angles, but for me the best way to watch this project like a tool to unite people.
I feel like having the space that inspires me makes my dance, molded my dance. I get inspired in a lot when I used not to have a car and take the public transportation, and then from whatever you see, it gives you images, it gives you a motion, a movement without even thinking about it. And somehow you start picturing something with the music you listen to. And I'm very sensitive to that now. I think that's what feeds my dance. I try to stay, when I have an idea to create something, it's really the ability to be open to the moment, or the instinctive thought that cross your mind, and do something with that.
I'll imagine like the best version of myself possible, that is able to do a whole bunch of crazy things that I'm not physically capable of. So what I'll do is I stretch my arms in order to gain mobility. Right now I'm trying to stretch my legs to gain mobility. And once I acquire those skills, I then go and get other skills such as like animation that helps me apply a lot of different textures over different kinds of movement to help me fully achieve that picture that I'm going for. So once I get all those skills together, then now that I have the skills, I will shut that awareness off. I'm saying? I'll shut it off and just move and think about my emotions and how I feel, and let those things like guide my body. So I'm no longer, actively aware of what I'm doing. I'm not saying, okay, I have to put my hand here, I have to move my leg like this. I shut it off and try to focus on the feeling and let all those skills guide me.
Me too.
Yeah, just knowing how to slow down and be comfortable is crazy to get your mind to think right,
It's one of my improv teachers always said, stop
stop rushing, like slow down and take a moment to like pause and see and think and like be able to see the movement instead of just doing it because like there's enough shapes to like keep going forever but to like end in sentence.
Right, he's a master of that.
Yeah.
Like the basics.
Like a wrestler, another notch under my belt. The embezzler, chrome treasurer, the UNO competitor. I'm 10 steps ahead of ya. I'm a leader, y'all some following shit. Coming in this game on some violent shit. Bitches suck. You just keep on taking me back. Maybe you're open up. Maybe I belong. You just keep on taking. You can curse and call me a bitch. Probably have the right to do. You can tell the world that I'm a narcissist.
Yeah, let's go.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that, man. Wow. Wow. Oh my god. That was a piece of art.
It's crazy because you guys film the dancer and you guys film me. I'm like, reaction. Yeah.
What are you setting up?
Yeah, so we have a few different technologies for motion tracking to try today. A couple of the trial suits from our partners, Perception Neuron here, which is a very reasonably priced suit, and another one is Accents, which is one of the highest end standalone suits for motion tracking. So we're setting these up, and we got some artists over here, Matthew, Boogie, also Alex, hey Arisa. And right now I'm on the call with our friends from Accents, setting up Accents suit, which is actually pretty easy. So Matthew is just about to get inside.
Super.
I think the pants should be okay, but you should probably take out everything for the buckets.
I want orange lasers to come out of his hands.
What about the eyes?
The hands are fine, just do it.
Okay.
And the more that you're able to hone that, the more powerful your perception can be. It sounds like
You teach robots how to drink coffee.
Air, no cream. No cream.
No input. Singularity. Destroy humans.
Hit it, bro.
A lot of different music.
Well, what do you think? Do you like what it looks like?
Yeah, no, I looked over while I was doing something. I'm like, yo, that's accurate. It hyped me up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's
cool.
nice.
So maybe
one day you can have like augmented reality glasses and you can dance and have like an augmented reality mirror next to you and you can rotate it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, one thing we're looking into is there's another company that's doing similar sensors, but those are Wi-Fi connected to your phone, and they can stream the data over the internet to another phone. So ultimately you have a collaboration suit for movement where you can see a person dancing in real time far away. And if you're wearing the same suit, you can collaborate and create a dance together while being very far away. That's something that we're considering to use longer term with Oscillations, because our dancers are spread all around the world, and doing the rehearsals in the same spot is just very expensive, and sometimes they just don't have time to travel for that. So we certainly are looking into systems like that to have more overlap between them so that they can learn and develop new language and vocabulary together.
That's the theme song of Final Fantasy. Ready.
I think you missed it. Like when I introduced myself to everybody, they're like, "So what do you do?" I was like, "Well, I just play with the universe." Like, that's kind of like my thing, you know. But it's just really like creating like altered realities, and then kind of like using my hands to create the images for people to see.
So one of the big new theoretical frameworks in the neurosciences is that consciousness is just controlled hallucination. So much of what you are perceiving, you are actually creating. And the more that you're able to sort of own that, the more powerful your perception can be. And it sounds like you've kind of intuitively done that for dance. Awesome. There are all sorts of really cool collaborations between creative technologists, academics, and artists. We have philosophers and neuroscientists who are trying to understand consciousness, and they're starting to borrow virtual reality to do that. You can trick the brain into thinking all sorts of impossible things by using virtual reality. We also have people in Hollywood coming up with all sorts of strange science fiction stories that then inspire scientists to try out new things, to come up with new theories, to see if they can actually push the horizons of what's possible. In creating Fire Together, we were mostly exploring virtual reality and brain-computer interfaces. You can actually pair EEG with virtual reality seamlessly because they both require a headset. And that's what we are doing in the sort of premiere version of Fire Together. You're able to influence what you're seeing in the 360 environment around you just by your attention and your arousal levels. Another really sci-fi technology that we already have proofs of concept for is called image reconstruction. Image reconstruction is a combination of brain-computer interfaces and artificial intelligence. We're able to read your brain activity, for example, from an EEG, and decode that brain activity into photo or video and then play it back to you. This technology is already starting to be here, and it's rapidly becoming more advanced.
So one of the cool things about the kind of connection between scientists and artists is that scientists in a way live in the here and now, in the sense that they try to kind of build stuff and understand things that they can measure and test, and artists have freedom to imagine futures that are not here. And this has a nice kind of connection between the two, because scientists can then start exploring those ideas that artists give them. I think brain-machine interfaces a great example of like a beautiful dance between science coming up with something, and then art takes it one step further, and then science catches up and does another thing. And it's constantly like every week you can read the magazines and you can ask yourself, is it science or science fiction movie that I'm reading about? Because they kind of quickly catch up to each other. Because artists are really able to essentially get a lot of people aligned, I think their job is to find the common grounds among a lot of people and speak to that.
When people are effectively communicating, or when people are appreciating art in a similar way, the reason they're able to do that is because they're literally on the same neural wavelength. Their brain activity is synchronized or in phase. Their neurons are firing together. This neuroscientific discovery is the inspiration for why we called our piece Fire Together.
The idea of art as an aesthetic endeavor is philosophical, but in practice, it means that something happens in your brain when you see something beautiful, when you encounter something that's engaging. And for a while, this was a thing that we couldn't really measure. We knew that we were going through it, but we didn't know how to kind of quantify that. When you saw the Sistine Chapel, you said, this is beautiful, but what really happened in your brain was too vague. Now, neuroscience starts venturing into it. And what it suggests is a very simple idea, which is if a lot of people agree that something is beautiful, it means that something in their brain happens in a similar fashion. And what we're measuring is exactly the similarity between brains. Bring 10 people to the room and you show them a movie that is beautiful and a boring one. What you expect is that the beautiful movie is going to actually make all their brains look alike because they somehow experience the same thing. In the brain world, it means that actual brain waves are aligning themselves. Everyone goes to the same memories, to the same analogies. They load the same ideas. They go to the same emotions. Something about the beauty of the painting actually makes their brain look the same.
When our brains fire together, we are able to effectively communicate. But there's more than just communication that happens. When we're rhythmically in sync with one another, as is the case with dancers and movement artists, we're facilitating these subconscious bonds. We're empathizing with one another. And that's because we share a similar embodiment.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Everyone can be quiet, please.
Can you guys talk a little bit about this kind of groundbreaking VR approach that they're doing? That not only is it virtual reality and is it a 360 camera, but it's also in a sense it's 360 sound. Mm-hmm. Talk a little about maybe what you guys are looking forward to in terms of, and what you guys might feel as a challenge in terms of how you're normally used to performing or presenting a piece. If you guys, and you can talk to each other if you want. Yeah.
For me, I never been performing for 360 in my life. Never, ever. This is the first time. She would know better than me. But what makes me more curious is how people will react once they have the possibility to feel maybe what I'm feeling when I'm performing. So this is what's going in my mind. Because when I see her doing the old hair performance, I'm like, wow, it's amazing, but what is going on in her mind? What is going on in your mind? So what makes me more curious is to how there will be once I'm able not just to understand your movement, but also to understand what you're feeling. What's going on in your mind? Why that expression? Why the goosebumps in my body? Like all these things, how to be in there. And that's what makes me more excited about the 360 project.
Well, I mean, what I want to say in terms of VR is that, you know, as we're moving towards singularity, when technology will really fully intersect with our human physical reality, there are a lot of people who think and speak and speculate about what will happen when singularity, finally, we reach it, right? Will we be even more disconnected due to using our phones all the time, social media, or there is a way to become more connected, to find a sense of freedom in this new technology? And I believe that VR and what he was talking about is, what if we found a way, and we did, to communicate how does it feel, not only how does it look. In my opinion, it's an ultimate connection. Yeah. It's an ultimate unity.
So my feeling towards this project is we're touching on ultimate unity, ultimate communication, because we're speaking to emotions.
Yeah. I never seen a kung fu fighter and an artist together. I never seen that. So she was one of the first person that I ever saw expressing that feeling through movement. And what was just amazing for me that she didn't have words to express the feeling. So the movement was filling in all her words that she could not be spoke with the mouth. And this, for me as an artist, I was like, wow, this is so inspiring. And so she was in my mind after class. I was like, oh, that's amazing. So she's one of the persons that I would love to also to understand better about her art form. And there's another person that was crossing the floor, performing, and his name is Dimitri. He's from Russia. And wow, it was just amazing. Actually, everyone here is amazing. Everyone is...
Connect, like, specifically, what was it about Dimitri that really...
Expression. Being in the moment. Actually, he's behind the scenes. He's here. Shit! That's for real. That really happened. That's real.
You know, you see the video of some absolutely amazing performer and you admire about it. But if you see their performance in live, you was like, wow. Bravo! Like this, you know? And that's why I wanna watch my performance to feel my energy.
I toured with a ballet company and we danced all around the world and sold out opera houses, and it's always a live performance. Most of the time dance is an art that is done live. Of course it's done on film and things like that, but most of the time it's done on a stage and you please the audience in that moment and that's it. But this virtual reality experience is going to be, like you said, for one person. And I think that to me is so crazy because it's, I think 27 of us doing our best craft at our highest level and really making an experience for them. So for one person to experience all of us in a 360 view with such depth, like they are truly watching us live, a lot of us here have large followings on social media and just in general of fans of who love our work. So for them to have an option to buy this and watch us do our work in a really cool way is really exciting. I think that's really innovative first, and second, really awesome for those people that might not have that opportunity to see us dance live.
What happened at the mansion, the sense of community and the innovation that was starting to occur, was to us cause for celebration. So midweek, we hosted a banquet in honor of the artists and what they were accomplishing halfway through the production.
Welcome it into your
let's say 7 years from now when my taste buds change, then
what are you, 6? Come on.
Woo! Make out. Hi, everybody. Good evening. You all have earned this, deserve it, all the things. You guys are absolutely amazing. I can't believe what I've seen. To have an extraordinarily complex vision with extraordinarily complicated music across dozen-plus movement languages, and to just see it happen, I'm besides myself. I'm in awe every single one of you.
So I wanted to thank you. Thank you for being here, for opening your hearts, your minds, and being willing to share in this experience and to grow, to collaborate, to create. It's a blessing.
I want to make a cheers to the inspiration in this room. Even just at the house, I feel like in the last few days, taking the time to get to improvise and hang out and be a family. From this dinner table to the house, living and waking up with people and seeing everyone's hair on the opposite side of their head when they wake up, especially mine. It's just so cool, and it's just such a cherished moment that we've only just begun, but I feel like I know you guys even so much better already. And yeah, cheers, you guys. Thank you.
I didn't really prepare anything, but if I speak from my heart, I will impress all of you. So I would like to say that all of you people who thought this project to existence, people who dreamed this project to existence, and people who came together to make it happen, you inspire me to be myself. You inspire me to keep going to the direction where I'm going, and also you made me feel limitless.
I think every single one of you are magic. I think that we are creating magic, and this morning at the museum, you said, art cannot change the world, but art can change people, and people can change the world. And I wrote that down, and that really inspired me, and I think that we are changing the world by this project, so thank you.
Cheers. Yes. Yeah, good. It's a good drink, buddy. It's a good drink.
Hello!
Put it in that pocket.
Man, that was a fall, man. Yeah, of course he did.
He rolls the floor out of the car.
There we go. Let's make history. What's up, guys?
So today in the Oscillation cast, oh my god, hello, welcome. Today we are filming at Chicago Studio City, and that's all I have. I'm terrible.
Alright, do it again.
Take two. Welcome, this is Oscillation Cast, and today we are filming at Chicago Studio City. Stay tuned.
Now in French,
Yes!
in French.
That was good.
In French. In French.
And go. Bonjour, aujourd'hui nous filmons à Chicago Studio City et nous sommes super heureux, nous sommes le Oscillation Family.
Okay, now Chinese. Action.
E aí, galera? Tudo bem? Estamos aqui no programa aqui Oscillation Next Level Team. Aqui tem o pessoal do handstand, do dance movement, popping, locking, rocking, capoeira. E vamos fazer história no mundo, rapaz! Oscillation!
Viva Oscillation! Let's move from the hallway. Camera, Caesar has the other camera right there. I got the back.
Yesterday was one of the most challenging setups that I've ever been a part of.
First, super simple.
Yeah.
Tell me who you are and what you do.
Yeah, my name's Todd Bell. I am a director of photography and the director of photography on Oscillations Fire Together. Is it still called Fire Together? Okay. All right, cool.
The finished production, Fire Together, has two locations that we filmed in. One is a beautiful old theater, and the other is a black box, which we turn into this beautiful graphic arts rendering of being inside of a brain. Now, the significance of this, what we're trying to say with this transition from the theater to the black box, is that virtual reality as a medium is going to take people out of traditional venues like the theater and into their own minds, into virtual worlds that we create or that they create by thinking them into existence.
What's going on today, Elias?
So this is our second day of pre-light. Basically, we found the biggest studio in Chicago that's painted black very conveniently because the feeling we're going after is a black void. So basically the dancers and the performers are going to be surrounded by black, and there will be oscillations happening instead of the ceiling. So we're building some lighting structures to make sure that the dancers themselves can be visible with the black backgrounds.
Crazy. This is nuts. Nuts.
And we were talking a little bit actually with the gaffer, and it seems like just your regular run-of-the-day shoot where you have to mount lights and also mount poles and everything else. Can you talk a little bit about any complications that you ran into, or kind of some of the challenges that in the initial days?
So building the poles was a challenge because the ceilings are 40 feet. The poles that we have are just 14. So we had to build some truss systems and pipes over there. At the same time, the poles need to be very well mounted because we're doing some complicated and challenging things on the poles. And one of our pole dancers is infamous for ripping the poles off the mounts. So this needs to be rock solid and still removable. So that's a challenge that we're overcoming right now.
And what all has to happen before our 4 o'clock rehearsal?
A lot of things, actually. And we have about 2 hours to make that happen, so pretty challenging.
Can you point out any people behind you and who we see?
So this is, on the left is Todd.
How do you get involved with this project?
Well, I was approached by Ilya and Brendan through mutual friends at Radiant Images. I love shooting dance, among other, action and kinetic activities, like athletes and sports and stuff, and dance has always been a love of mine. So when I heard about the project, I was really excited. I believe this is one of Chicago's largest stages, and quickly starts to feel not even big enough. Just even through rehearsals, just seeing how much is going on in this frame, I feel like you could watch the final scene many times and see different things every time. And then, we're trying to move the camera.
Explain this beast behind you here, not that beast, this beast.
So this piece behind me is what's called a Fisher dolly. This is one of the dollies typically used in cinematography. And we'll be using it to rise the camera as the piece begins from about this high to all the way to 5 feet-ish. And so the idea here is that you're kind of like rising on the theater and you're trying to understand what's going on.
Other than that, it's just exciting. There's awesome, the theater that we're shooting in is absolutely gorgeous. And I think it ties in well to the message that Oscillations is trying to make about bringing dance out of the theater and into a new environment. So we had a motion control dolly, aerial Spanish web performance coupled with handstand stacks shot over the course of 6 hours. So it was just an extremely technical and precise setup that took quite a bit of persistence to make happen. So it was just like constant pressure for a long period of time on everybody.
Production was absolutely grueling. It's really hard, no matter how big your team, no matter how great everyone is at doing their thing. It's really challenging to take all of these ideas that we have at Oscillations and distill it down into an experience on technologies that are really largely undiscovered. We're in terra incognita. We've never created anything before, and we've bit off more than we can chew. Everyone that worked on this project was exhausted all the time, and we were running on coffee and ambition, and honestly, it felt great. And I think even the artists at their most tired and irritable we're all excited about this project.
How are you doing?
Doing good, doing great.
How was
Ready for the
yesterday?
paint. Was amazing. Was amazing. Next level.
Honestly, how was yesterday?
Next level beyond. Team is in the house. Yeah.
It's a hard knock life for us.
I never done live like that. Okay, let's go. So we are the two French girls on the Oscillations team. Yes, and it's very fun, you know, to have someone who understands what when I start speaking French. And yeah.
Yes, we're happy to be on the team.
Yeah, that's cool.
With crazy and amazing artists
Great
from the
energy.
world: Russian, France, Netherlands, Ukrainian, Germany.
Very international cast. Yes, so it's fun.
Germany? Robalex is from Germany? Really? No? Yes. Mexican, Indian girl.
Pakistani.
Pakistani, sorry, Pakistanis. Yes, we're happy to be here.
Woo! T'es timide là un peu, non? Cool and cold.
Cool and cold.
Cool and cold. Cool and cold.
I like the questions. Keep asking questions. Questions
Yeah,
are
yeah,
fun.
ask question. I never do live, man.
We should
I'm
do
not
it
very.
more often,
I'm not
right?
too comfortable.
Oh, it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
So what else? Your experience, Chaz, about Oscillation? Tell us about it.
My what?
Your experience with Oscillation.
My experience with Oscillations has been very eventful, very inspiring. I've been pushing myself as far as I possibly can, trying to help out. You know what I love the most, though? Our family.
Yeah.
We have a good family. Ooh, what style does he do? I'm a contemporary dancer.
He's one of the most incredible, well-rounded dancer I've ever seen.
My question is, will you marry me?
Oh,
Lucky biddas.
I'm already married 5 times.
I'm not sure
so-
you are. I mean...
Sorry. Sorry.
Yesterday was a long day, long day. So people started at 5:30 in the morning. People started at 7:30. Some at 9:30. But it was cool. We finally got to meet the makeup artist. It's been awesome seeing everybody kind of get painted in different colors.
Can you talk a little bit about it yesterday? Do you mind rehashing a little bit about your guys' approach to painting the dancers? Because it obviously
Yeah, we knew that it was going to be abstract, so we were kind of like, which angle do you attack that from? So we took into consideration the dancers themselves and what type of dance that they would be doing. So if they were doing more of ballet, if they were doing more contemporary, we had to put that into consideration with which brush strokes to put to really accentuate their body and their movement.
It's kind of fun that you guys get to you guys are basically experimental painters with human bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, it was amazing.
So Alex came to us completely gold. We ask every single dancer what type of dance they are going to be doing. Alex is doing more ballet contemporary type of dancing. So for him, we had to make sure that everything that we painted on him was still going to be intact while he's dancing. He's going to be doing a lot of movements. So we kind of just create the movement with the paint.
So Total Art is this idea that you can bring together artists from all different disciplines and they will create a comprehensive work that isn't just dance, it isn't just painting or set design or lighting, but everybody involved is at the peak of their creativity, is at the peak of their craft. And what emerges is this layered, rich, textured final product that has so many dimensions that you could experience it 20 different ways and get lost down all these little rabbit holes. It's just this big, meaty thing. That's what inspires us, Total Art.
And now that we're a few more days in, talk about how well you've gotten to know these people that you live with.
It's crazy. It feels like it went really fast, but at the same time, I feel like I've been here for a long time, and I feel like I've been knowing these people for a while now. So.
Do you feel inspired moving forward that these might be people that you'll work with again?
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. For sure. It's I've been on a lot of production where we have like different arts like that, like different styles. But I always felt like we never had enough time to create together. So since the point of Oscillation was to really make a fusion of all these different arts, you know, we were digging more into like creation. So I know we're all gonna leave like really frustrated because we want to do more now. So we have so much material all together. So I'm gonna definitely hit people up to do more. Before coming, I felt a bit bored of my dancing. I was bored of being a dancer. So now it was like a breath of fresh air. So thank you.
I got it.
Yes. Awesome. Okay, we got E.T. Let's see E.T.
E.T.
Yeah.
Right? And then how do you do the... Oh, there we go, that's it.
Okay.
Hold on. Who else?
Who else we got? Okay, let's do Tissia. Baby freeze. Nice.
What's a wushu?
Yeah, we gotta get to wushu. Let's do Svetlana. Yeah.
All right, can you guys come a little closer to camera?
More toward camera, guys.
I think the results are going to be amazing. Technical and difficult setups. It gives you the most reward later, you know? It's like enduring a challenging experience just makes it that much more memorable. So hopefully everything turns out great and the experience is something that people haven't seen before.
I came in here, it's popping off. Some of those people bawling out are not our dancers, so like it's bringing in the dance community from Chicago, and I think it's probably going to be the coolest party I've ever been to. I mean, the dancing is going to be off the chain, I know that for sure. It feels like the end of a journey. We've been planning this for a year, but I hope that it's not. I hope we get to do this for the next 20 years.
I'm feeling awesome. When we originally started this project, we weren't quite sure that it's going to work. As we assembled as a team, as we learned the technology, as we learned the filmmaking process, it all came together.
It's been awesome, man. Like I can't thank the Oscillation teams enough for just allowing us to this opportunity to come together and like bless each other, you know? We literally are blessed. Like we are doing what we love to do, and hopefully, you know, changing the future with all of that. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh. This whole experience has been magic, and I'm so fucking grateful. Beep, sorry, you might have to beep that out.
No, it's
I'm so grateful to have connected with all of these artists. It's changed my life, and I can't wait to see what's next. I feel like this is just the beginning.
That's it. Thanks. But we're not a technology company. We're a community of artists, scientists, and technologists who are defining the signature of the 21st century. We're world makers, and our only limitations are the ones of our imagination. Oscillations is you. Welcome to Oscillations.
Is this the biggest thing I've done? Absolutely. When I came in here today, I was sitting communicating with my producers, who are also my friends, and we were going back and forth, and we're putting out fires, as everyone does in a production. It's our first. We're artists and scientists and engineers. We're not veterans. This is our first time, and it's terrifying. And I'm sitting here in the Edgar Miller house, and part of me is looking around at all this beautiful art and thinking, hell yeah, fuck yeah. You know, if you can dream it, you can make it, you can build it. This place makes me feel that way and makes me believe that. The best case is that Oscillation starts with a bang. Everybody gets it, everybody feels connected, we have a sense of community, And people leave this project feeling like we really could take over VR in the early stages of this new creative medium, and we can carve out a piece of real estate for fine art, for the kind of media that these artists are interested in making. They leave with a sense of hope and ambition, and a sense that we're all in this together.
I feel like I've been training my whole life to be a part of something like this. I'm a fan of sci-fi and technology and all that, and yeah, I feel like this is just another chapter. Like, this is like all Lamont, like, this is what you've been training for, to be a part of this. And, you know, so happen to be cyber yoga, that's my thing, cyber. And just, yeah, just being a part of this unique project is really inspiring and really amazing, and I feel honored to be here with a bunch of like-minded people, and I feel like, yeah, we're on the forefront of something really cutting edge, and I'm happy to be a part of that. It's a blessing.
In my case, I'd never imagined that I would be around people with the capabilities to be on the cutting edge of the technology here. Like, of course I wanted to. I've played with 360 cameras, I've recorded myself, done time lapses in them, and at the same time, it just felt so behind. And then when Brendan came up to me and was like, look, we got the top of the line, and we're preparing material for future gear that no one even has yet. But when he first started talking about this project, it was actually very, much smaller. And then as the new partners came in, as the new athletes came in, and the new opportunities came in, it was pretty incredible how the idea expanded and the team just grew around him.
When the project started, I did not picture that it would be like that big. My biggest fight in terms of movement is to find the possibility to change people's life, because the only way they can change the world. And this project, the VR project, Oscillation project, is gonna change people's life. It's just amazing. I always say that music, art, and movement, it cannot change the world, but it can change people, and the people can change the world. And the Oscillation project is changing people's life, so we can change the world together.
I am looking forward to this challenge more than anything. I've been waiting for something like this. I feel like I've done a lot of jobs that are similar. This is by far the most different job I've ever. I don't even think it's a job experience I've ever had.
I just know that he is a visionary, and he's making things happen at a rate that is phenomenal.
Either he's crazy or he's a genius. Not sure, but either way, I'm down for the ride.
What's the end result of frontier technologies being called into service of creating total art, total works of art? These technologies have the potential to be so much more than what they are right now, which is extensions of what came before, extensions of big Hollywood IP and the video game industry, zombies and lightsabers. These technologies are going to enable us to imagine worlds into existence, to build worlds with our minds. So at Oscillations, we really want there to be a category, a use case for these new technologies that inspires people to think bigger than zombie shooters, think bigger than lightsabers, think about the worlds we want to exist, both in the real world and the ones that we imagine. We want new categories of art that can inspire us to build a better future, to communicate better, to imagine things that are becoming of human civilization in the 21st century. We have all of these creative technologies. We have all of this wealth. We can launch rockets. We are living longer. There's been so much human progress, but why? What is the point of building civilization if you are not making it beautiful, an inspiring and hopeful thing to live inside of? Civilization should inspire us, and that is the role of the arts. Isn't it time we had a new movement, a new global network of creatives coming together to think about the next thing? What is the most beautiful thing that we can create? What new inspirational works of art and categorically new kinds of art can we make that really define the 21st century? If art is a signature of civilizations, let the artist sign it. Let it be born of a movement in total art.